I found an unusual joy in letting myself go in this project, and was often surprised by the images appearing on the black cardboard, a technique that came out naturally, although it had never interested me before. I wonder why, and it's certainly an afterthought, but I find that painting over black is like bringing out light from darkness, which has much to do with the way I faced the COVID-19 quarantine. My name is Graciela García. I'm an artist and a graphic designer living in Madrid, Spain. I've studied fine arts and art therapy, and currently I'm combining my graphic design activity with some writing and curatorial work in the field of outsider art. I feel especially attracted by the intrinsic drive that leads people to experiment with unconventional materials, creating their personal universes. My research on the creative process in outsider artists is collected in my book Art Brut, La pulsión creativa al desnudo. The lockdown taking place between March and June 2020 in Madrid was very meaningful to me. I had turned 40 1 week before the pandemic took hold in Spain, and gathered all my friends together in a sort of farewell welcome party. It was not because I ever imagined what was about to happen, that I wouldn't be able to see or hug my friends for months, but because I felt that I was entering the second part of my life, the B-side of the disc. By that time, I was feeling rather introspective and eager to devote to creativity. Despite the hard moments, the quarantine provided me with a perfect excuse to lock up in my shelter. For 2 months, we were allowed to leave our homes only for buying basic supplies. So I spent lots of time confined in my apartment with my cat as my only companion. The loneliness, along with the meditation and some readings, brought me to draw in a sort of state of flow. Then all these images started to strike my mind, and I committed myself to put them on paper every day. It reminded me of Marguerite Burnand-Provence, a Swiss artist that undertook a completely new work after the traumatic experience of the World War I. She felt these compositions were somehow coming from outside, as if she was in contact with some archetypal knowledge. The idea of creating a deck of cards started to take shape progressively as a sort of personal tarot that could be used to unlock unconscious content. To keep connected to the outside world, I started publishing 1 image per day on social media. Then it happened that Annie Boyd, with whom I share a very good friend, took them as a trigger for writing her own short stories. I received the news of having someone at the other side of the ocean, confined as me, having her own trip with my images, as something really comforting. We were silently accompanying each other. I didn't want to get immersed in Andy's writing until the end of my creative process. I knew that at the moment I interrupted the flow, inspiration would go off. Later on, when the lockdown was over and hence our project too, I was delighted diving into Andy's Imaginaire and finding intriguing coincidences between her writings and my images. The most striking one is called the Seraph. I dreamt of a magic bird fluttering in the night sky. It was magnificent, and I pointed it out to a friend who was next to me. Distracted by his reaction, I left aside the magic encounter and forgot completely about the bird. When I read Andy's approach to the image, I was amazed to see how similar the scene she described was to that of my dream. Even the dialogue was almost identical. It was as if she had been there. The Black Book of the Quarantine began as an organic collaboration between Andy and me and became a transatlantic response to the lockdown through a common language, artistry. The 40 resulting images and text convey the unifying urge of expression against the tragedies of the pandemic. Currently, I'm working at my website, which will be available in December. In the meantime, you can reach me for any questions or comments on social media. Thanks for watching.